welcome back to the third episode of Climbing the Rings, where in this series we'll be testing out decks, compared to how hyped up they are to the community. And if you want to see more information, go check out my first two videos, but that's basically the gist of it. But let's get on to the deck profile. So today I'm bringing you a Volo, Guide of Monsters, Guide to Monsters Brawl deck. This card was recently released in the new D&D set that came out, I don't know, maybe a month ago when this thing goes up. And what it does is whenever you cast a creature spell that doesn't share a creature type with a creature you control or a creature or card in your graveyard, copy that spell. So basically what this is saying is that if you cast a creature spell and you don't already have one of those in your graveyard or you already control, you copy it, which is really, really cool. And especially in Brawl decks, because you can only run one of everything, so it will always automatically copy it, and it'll stay out there unless it's like legendary, which, I mean, that makes sense. But anyways, that's the main point of this deck, and let's get on to this stuff. So first off, 1-drops. I'm running an annul because this will get rid of a lot of things, such as bridge, anything that's like big. Great Henge, for example, all of the demigods out of the Throne of Eldraine set, Theros set, sorry, but everything out of that set basically, and it shuts down quite a bit of decks. Opt, that's just a scry 1-draw card, which is really nice. Gilded Goose, this card is just a generic ramp card, especially for standard. And Snakeskin Veil for giving us hexproof. This card's not really expected in green, and it's a pretty good card for green decks or anything that runs green. It's really, really nice. Onto the 2-drops, Anti-Cognition. This is just a counter unless they pay 2. Essence Scatter, just counter target creature spell. Negate, counter target non-creature spell. Reject, counter target creature or planeswalker spell unless its controller pays 3. And then if it was sent to the graveyard, it gets exiled instead. Test of Talents for countering instant or sorceries. No, you don't get to get things off of this, but you still get to exile the card from the graveyard, which is really neat. One Elysian Caryatid, this is just a ramp. Lotus Cobra, this is also just a ramp, especially in this deck because blue-green is probably the colors that most ramp the best, which is really, really cool. One Prosperous Innkeeper, this card is just nuts. It's a ramp, it's a Impassioned Orator for green, and it's just crazy. And especially in this deck where you're copying a lot of creatures, you will get a lot of triggers off of this card. So I'm also running Return to Nature. This destroys artifact enchantment, or it also shuts down Croxa and Uro decks. If they decide to leave their card in the graveyard, it exiles it, so they have to put it either to the commander zone or it's just gone forever. Decisive Denial. This is just a counter, and it's also a fight card. Double Major copies. Mereleaf Pixie, this is a ramp for the deck that's just generic. Needle Thorn Drake, this card is in here because it's a flying death touch in blue-green, which is really, really cool. And the Arcane Signet for just ramp, it's really, really good card. 3-drops, Brazen Borrower, this card's probably one of the best cards in blue right now. Saw It Coming, counter. Cultivate, ramp. Kazandu Mammoth can also be a land, but landfall whenever a land enters the battlefield you control, it gets +2/+2 into the end of turn. So this card can get a hand, and you can just keep copying it off of Volo. Old Growth Troll, same thing. It has Trample for a 3-drop, and then it will also attach to the forest as a thing. It can add 2 green, and you can pay 1, sacrifice it, create a 4/4 tapped green troll rare creature token with Trample. It will create a token copy, but that token copy won't be attached to the land, just a heads up. Behold the Multiverse, this card just draw and scries, and you can foretell it. Quandrix Cultivator, this card is also just a ramp, and you can also copy it and get more ramp off of it. And this is probably one of the weirdest things in here, but probably not one of the weirdest things, is it's Cosmos Elixir. So it's a draw, and you gain life off of it, which in this deck, it honestly needs it because of like how low you get before you get Volo out there, especially if you're going against mono red, such as Magda or anything in between like that. This card is really, really good against those decks, and it's draw if you start getting a bunch more life, so it's a pretty good card. 5-drop Elder Gargrowth, this card's not legendary for some reason, it's just crazy, and it's only 5-drop running. And then 6 and up are a Riddle Master Sphinx. yeah, this card's really cool. It can return stuff. Well, turn target creature opponent controls to your hand. So if they have something really, really dumb out there, you can just put it back in their hand. And it can copy, so you can basically return 2 creatures out there, and you have 2 5/5 flyers, which is really, really hard to get over. Kogla, the reason why I'm running this card is, for 1, it destroys artifacts and enchantments. For 2, it will fight when it enters the battlefield. So it will fight twice if you have Volo, but you only get to keep 1. But the main reason is it just creature removal, which is really, really cool. And I'll run Epiphany. This card, if you don't run it in blue, especially blue Brawl, you're not going anywhere unless you don't have it, which that makes sense. But this card just takes out your turn, you create 2 1/1 bird token is flying. It's awesome, and you can foretell it for a later thing. Beanstalk Giant, it's just a ramp card, and you can also copy it if you cast it for its regular cost. Thorn Mammoth, same thing. It'll just start fighting a bunch of things, which is really, really cool. Coma's Coma, blue, it's blue-green, so you can run in this deck, and there's no point not to. And the Great Henge, this card just is a ramp, gain 2 life, you get a +1/+1 counter on it, and you draw a card, so it's just crazy. And you can cost really cheap after you get a bunch of stuff out there. Lands, Hollow the Store Giant, this card's really, really fun, and it's really, really funny to catch people off guard with it. I'm running 7 islands and 11 forests. That's just kind of the standard thing. Temple of Mystery, when it enters scry, it enters tapped. Thornwood, same thing, but you gain 1 life instead of scrying. Vine Glimmer Snarl, this is a thing that you can reveal if you reveal a forest from your hand, or a island card from your hand, and then if you don't, it will enter tap, but usually you have one in your hand, and you just play this, and you have a blue-green out there, which is really cool. Command Tower, it's Command Tower, why wouldn't you run it? Fabled Passage and Evolving Wilds are just ramp. Fabled Passage is way better, but they're both really nice to have in there. And yeah, that wraps up the deck profile, and let's get into the game. 1, we have a pretty good hand, so I start with playing Vine Glimmer Snarl, revealing a forest, then playing Opt, keeping it on top, drawing the Command Tower, and he plays a black land. It's the dual land for the rogues. Prosperous Innkeeper, creative treasure, pass turn back to him. He draws. He plays a. I don't even know. I don't know a lot of lands other than the basic lands. Fabled, getting a island and getting a Cosmos Elixir, passing him back, gaining life. He plays a basic swamp this time, and he just passed back to me. I draw a card. I decide to foretell all runs, and then I do cast Volo, and then he counters it. And I just attack with Prosperous Innkeeper. I draw a card off of Cosmos Elixir. He plays a land, or Castle Lockthwain, or whatever it is. I play basic land, and I attempt to cast Volo again, but he just plays Even Death Draco Lich, doesn't do anything, pass back over to him. I gain some life off of Cosmos Elixir, and then he plays Imarith, the Desert Doom, or something like that. So I decide to Alrund's Epiphany right here. I get some more creatures. I get some more life triggers off of Prosperous Innkeeper. I target Imarith, the Desert Doom, and then I do pay 3 because I do not want to die, and I draw a card off of Cosmos Elixir. He does Shadow's Frigate, basically board wiping me, attacks with his Even Death, but it doesn't really do anything. I play Brazen Borrower, making 2 copies of it, and then I do Cultivate, getting a forest on the battlefield and a island in my hand, attacking with Volo, passing it back over to him. He plays Mind Flayer, but I counter it because I don't want him getting that card, because that card's really, really good, taking control of stuff. It's really good in Commander. He just foretells something, and I successfully counter it. I block with my 1 Brazen Borrower, and I play an island. I attack with both of my things, pass back over to him. He draws. He casts Bloodchief's Thirst. Snakeskin Veil it so it can't die, and then he says didn't say please, so it doesn't really matter. And then I draw. I play Volo again. I attack with Brazen Borrower, pass back over to him. He plays Alrund's Epiphany, and then I test talents, and he concedes there. Game 2. Our hand was okay, but I decided to mulligan. I play Command Tower, then Opt. I decide to keep it on top, and I draw it. I play an island, pay a Mirror Leaf Pixie, pass back over to him. He draws, he plays a land. I play Cultivate, getting the island on the battlefield, putting the forest in my hand, pass back over to him after attacking with Mirror Leaf Pixie. He draws, Plays Questing Beast. I don't really care about that card right now. I get Kogla, fight it, kills it. I know Questing Beast was kind of annoying, but it wasn't that bad. He has put Deathless Knight in the battlefield, so I do Volo, and then I attack. Well, I fight Volo with not Volo. I fight the Mereleaf Pixie with the Deathless Knight. So kills them both. Plays Thrashing Brontodon. Plays Typhoid Rats. Just pass back over to him, waiting for him to cast something, but he doesn't. So he just attacks with Thrashing Brontodon. I don't block with anything. He plays Yorvo, and I do decide to anti-cognition it. And I believe he does pay the 2 mana. Yep. And so I do decide to cast Beanstalk without like the Cultivate cost, pass back over to him, so there are 2 8/8s out there. He kills one of them with Murderous Rider, taking 2 damage from Murderous Rider, and then he just decides to pass back over to me. I don't make Call of the Storm Giants like a big like land, but he blocks it with my... He blocks my Beanstalk with Typhoid Rats and then does Blacklands Paragon, but it doesn't do anything. He just flashed it in just to get rid of that extra mana. He plays Garuk the Cursed Huntsman. He destroys my commander, and then he attacks with everything. I make Call of the Storm Giants, blocking his Yorvo, killing his Yorvo. I do play my Volo again, pass back over to him so I don't die immediately. He plays Thorn Mammoth. That doesn't really matter in the first place now. He makes 2/2 wolves and then pass back over to me. I make Call of the Storm Giants and then the Great Henge and then Quandrix Cultivator. Search my land for a basic forest, and then I just say good game because I know I've lost already. So game 3, our first hand wasn't good. Our second hand is looking a lot better, and I do decide to keep it. So I play Hollow the Storm Giants, passing it back over to him. He plays Gilded Goose, doesn't matter. I play Arcane Signet, pass back over to him. He plays his forest, and then he passes back over to me. I draw, I play Volo again. Yeah, this Volo's just good. Pass back over to him. He plays his Fin Fang Bear, and then he attacks. Well, he decided not to attack, like it wouldn't do anything. I play Cosmos Elixirs because I'm thinking that I'm going to take a lot of damage from Fin and stuff. So I gain 2 life, pass back over to him. He plays a land, he draws, all that good kind of stuff. And I believe, yeah, he'll play Ram Through just with a Death Touch that doesn't do anything. He does Fin. I play Volo again, and I gain some, well, I draw another card because I'm 1 life above what I should be. I have some poison counters. It's getting kind of scary. I do not block. I have 4 poison counters now, and he gets a draw with Toski. I play Lotus Cobra to get just more Lotus Cobras out there, and then I foretell Saw It Coming, passing it back over to him to see, well, I don't decide to attack because he'll just block with the indestructible guy, and even if I do attack with both, one of them's gonna die. Well, I couldn't attack with both anyways, so he plays Titanoth Rex, giving his Fin Trample. Okay, it doesn't do much. I was thinking about foretelling my all-runs, but I was like, I just really want to save Saw It Coming for later, so I let the Mirror Shield go through, and then he attacks with both. I block Fin with 1, and I block Toski with the other. He plays Fast Fortification, but I counter it with Saw It Coming, so my Volo does not die, and he still Snakeskin Veils it, which it doesn't do anything, like, really. So I Vine Glimmer Snarl, getting a bunch more things because off of Lotus Cobra, and then I do Auron's Epiphany, getting a Coma, so I play a land, and I crack the land, getting another forest, and then I get a green mana, playing both, and then playing the Great Henge, getting 2 just to get more life, attacking with everything, and he doesn't block one of my birds for some reason, but I think he probably thought that I had another thing that would kill it, but nothing does. He plays Nylea again, and, well, not again, he just plays Nylea, then he plays Jasper Sentinel, getting Nylea out there, and he attacks with both. He just attacks with Toski. I block Toski with my thing, my Coma. I do Lotus Cobra again, do Volo, and I get Conduit's Cultivator, getting just a bunch of mana, and he concedes there. Game 4. This hand was okay. It wasn't the best. I played Thornwood Falls. I can't speak. Just playing an Elysian carry it is, passing it back over to him. He draws. He's playing the Bridge Commander. I've already reviewed this episode if you want to go check that out. I play Volo. He unsummons it, which sucks. Why would I put it in the command zone? He plays Prismatic Bridge. I keep a tower on the top, and then I do decide to play Volo again. He does bridge, gets Ashiok off the top, which is kind of scary, but I don't really care about it. He returns my thing to my hand, and then I have to exile my anti-cognition, which I should have saved for the Shia, but I didn't really care at this point. I played Volo a third time, and then I wanted to Brazen Borrow, but it doesn't really matter. He gets a Solemn Simulacrum off of the bridge, and then he plays a land for his regular thing. He creates a 2/3, and then I realize at this point that I can't Brazen Borrower his thing because it's non-land permanent and all of his creatures are non-land, so I decide to put his Prismatic Bridge in the top, and guess what? Surprise, surprise, he counters it with Sublime Epiphany. So he draws, and then he gets Solemn Simulacrum again because he copied it. I don't know really what to do at this point, so I play Volo again, and then I do Old Growth Troll to get just a bunch of things out there so I can live a little bit longer. He gets Phylath out there, or Pylath, however you want to pronounce it, and then he plays Binding of the Old Gods. Yeah, this card, Binding of the Old Gods, is a really good card. He plays Heliod from his hand, and then puts a +1 on a Shia. Well, gives it lifelink, I meant. And then at this point, I don't block with, well, I block with one Old Growth Troll, putting the Old Growth Troll under a forest I control, and yeah, that's rhymes, funnily enough. I draw, I play the Great Henge, not like it will do anything. I play Volo another time, I don't know what this is, like the 6th or 7th time. He gets a Phylath trigger off the land, and then he gets another Phylath trigger off the land. He does Opt, draws a card, scries Elspeth, kills my little thing I had out there. He does Hogger Mauling. Yeah, this is just good. I just said good game at this point because he had so much Storm out there and he attacks with everything that he can attack with. I decide just to block the Shia, but I knew I was way dead from that point, and I lose my 4th game. Game 5. This hand was actually pretty good, so I impatiently await to play a forest, and I do decide to play the forest. What I should have done was play the Evolving Wilds, but I wanted the extra land for the Lotus Cobra, so it was like a win-win situation either way. So I draw, I play Evolving Wilds, getting a green, play the land, getting a thing, and I get Volo out there, passing back over to him, he passes back over to me, I get Lotus Cobra off the landfall trigger, and I decide to get a green. I play Old Growth Troll to copy it, but he destroys my thing, but it doesn't matter because I still will get the trigger off of Volo, so I have 2 things out there. I play Arcane Signet. He opts, it doesn't really do anything, and I attack him for 2 with Lotus Cobra. He has some things out there, but it's not like it will do anything. And he plays Otterus, the Oracle of Half-Truths. I have to divide the cards into 2 piles, which I give him a counter spell and a thing, which was kind of a dumb decision. I don't know why. I attack with Volo, and well, I attack with the Old Growth Troll. He does Shadow's Verdict and attacks me with Atris. I play Marileaf. I copy it twice. I get a bunch more lands out there. I play the land that I revealed, pass back over to him after attacking with Volo because he couldn't block with it, and he's thinking about what he's going to do. He has a new timer thing on him now. He plays Erebos Intervention. It doesn't do anything. It just kills my Volo. I block with both the Atris, and I do Volo again. Pass back over to him. I believe, no, he can't. I'm not sure what he's going to do here at this point. I mean, I was ready for it, but it really wasn't at the same time. He plays Wolf Strider, pass back over to him. I play Beanstalk Giant, but he counters it. It doesn't matter because the Volo will still trigger to create a Beanstalk copy. I attack with Marileaf in the air, pass back over to him. He's at 9 life right now. He drawn and locks my Volo. That card's really good for any mirror deck. That card's really, really nice. I play Needlethorn Drake just to get a Death Touch guy out there, and I attack with both my Beanstalk and my Marileaf, and then he scries off of Wolf Strider after blocking it because it won't take any damage. He takes 2 damage, he's at 7 life, he plays Cunning Nightbonder, and I anti-cognition it. I scry 2 because he has 8 or more cards in his graveyard, and he draws. He plays Strategic Planning, it doesn't really do anything right now, and then I play he plays the Rogue one again. I draw Coma off the top, I just attack with everything, he takes some damage, and then I play Coma because he counters it, but it can't be countered, so I just mill 3 basically off of Didn't Say Please, and then he Ashioks, and then I reject it. So, this deck is, well, it's good, but it's not the best. It needs a little something, but I'm not sure what that something is. It's not. It's a good deck, sure. It has a lot of potential, but it's just not there yet. I think what this deck needs is some, like, I'm not really sure. It just needs something that will make it go further. Because this deck currently is more of a win-win situation, like win-lose situation is what I meant. So, like, you can get Volo going, but it's not as much as you would expect it to be. And especially on how people have hyped it up, this card is sort of the same as how they hyped it up because it's an okay card, but it's not as much as some people say it is, as like, oh, this is going to be the new best commander deck. It's not. It's an okay commander deck. It's everywhere. It's fun, sure, I'll give it that. Like, it's really fun to play, but it's not the best out of what there is to play with in Commander. If you have a lot of blue and green cards, go ahead for this deck. This deck is really good with that. But honestly, any commander that is more of a win-lose situation than more of like a win most of the time than lose, because this deck is basically a 50-50, as you saw. So this deck has about a 60 to 70% win rate, which is not the worst, but it's not the best at the same time. And I think there could be a lot to do with this deck, but there's just something that it needs for it to go a little bit further in order to win more games. But honestly, enough. Like, this deck just fun to play with. Honestly, it's not a bad deck. It's just fun. And there's a lot of cards that's going to be going out of rotation for this deck, which is very sad, but this deck is basically playable for now. I mean, you could play it later with the new stuff that's coming out, but it's just fun. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. It'd be greatly appreciated. And yeah, thanks for watching.